All right.
Normally we just record.
I love it.
So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our very first live podcast edition. And I am super excited because we've got Dayon with us. He's joined us all the way from New Jersey, aren't you?
New Jersey, yep. Eatontown, New Jersey.
Fantastic. So this is our first live. Now, normally we record these and then do it after. However, we've gone for let's go it live and let's just make it happen first time through. So no mistakes my end. If not, I'll just bluff my way through it. So David, thank you for joining us and welcome to the e-commerce expander secrets podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Indeed. So give everyone a quick snippet on who's David, what you do, and where you're based to start with.
Yes, Andy, who am I? What do I do?
Yeah. Go
on. My name is David Dayon, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Amazon Experts. We pretty much partner with brands, and we help them manage their Amazon business. We also have a suite of services, a la carte services that any Amazon seller can benefit from, primarily optimization services. We'll design the images for you. We'll do the copywriting and SEO for you. And we'll also, design enhanced brand content, A+ content, storefronts, things like that. Our passion is Amazon. That's all we do, and we love it. And that's a little bit about us.
Fantastic. So I think this is because we're going to end up in the Amazon piece, but let's go like right back when. So where did you, obviously, so UK based, US based, there's a few differences there. So what happened when you left college? Where was that for you?
So I started like working for an Amazon seller straight out of high school. That was the summer job for me for a couple of years. I remember I used to list products on Amazon and get paid for every product that was listed. That was a fun job. Not many people knew how to create product listings, so they would pay well, in my opinion. And then from there, I went to college, and I actually, throughout college, I worked for an arbitrage seller. Basically, anything we can get our hands on that was selling hot, we would buy, we would sell. And those were the good old days.
Yes.
We would sell anything fashion accessories, primarily wristwatches, primarily timepieces. The companies we sold were like Casio and Guess, Michael Kors, Marc Jacobs, pretty much anything we could get that was doing well, that we could get a good margin on. And that was my life. My life was the Amazon, retail arbitrage world for a very long time. And then I got a job after college working for a consulting agency, climbed the ladder in that company, and then made partner at another agency, and then eventually started Amazon Experts about 2.5 years ago.
We've skipped a whole load there. So I want to go right back because my favorite thing is flipping stuff. I just, that sort of the arbitrage, buying stuff, getting it out there, switching it. Like, it's just so much fun. And you was doing that when you were still in nappies from the sound of it. Like you were still at college.
Yeah, I didn't really, it was something I was doing, but it wasn't something that like I thought I would do for my life. It was like just something to have a job to keep me busy when I wasn't in class, when I wasn't in college or studying. And then somewhere along the way, I realized that this is what I enjoy. This is what I have a passion for. Throughout that story, I also started my own agency with my partner, Jake Schwecke. And, that saying, enjoy what you do and never work a day in your life.
Yeah,
I definitely feel like that line was made about me a little bit. And I'm lucky enough to be able to say that. Even before I opened my own company, but before we opened Amazon Experts, I just enjoyed the space. That was not the case in college or in high school. It was just a means to an end, and I was just doing it just to make some money. But I realized I was good at it. I remember I actually went for a sales job. I went for an interview at a college to get regular sales. That's what everyone I know that's successful was doing. So I went and I remember I interviewed with a big company, and they told me, they're like, we'll hire you, but your expertise is in e-commerce, so you should probably stick in e-commerce. And I was like, no, I don't like e-commerce. I don't want to stay in e-commerce. And I don't really know who was responsible for shoving me into the e-commerce world or making me stay, but I can't see it any other way now. So that's definitely, go ahead.
So at what point did that swap? Because, at college it was sort of, you was just
I
working.
was in college for psychology, Andy. I was trying to be a psychologist.
Okay. So now we're getting into it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't going there for Amazon. I didn't take one class that would benefit Amazon. I was there. I was, my major was psych, and I love psychology. I think, and this came out over the years, I think that the education that I have in psychology helped me specifically with like the optimization services that we do. Getting into the mind of the buyer, that helps. That definitely kind of was responsible for a couple of the crucial things we've implemented over the years. But yeah, that switch, I don't really know when it happened. It just kind of happened. I kind of realized, all my friends were looking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Some of my friends were, in school for something and then ended up taking a job, something completely different. You know how it is. And I don't really I can't put my finger on when I realized, all right, Amazon is where I'm at. That's where I want to stay. I'm not really sure. Somewhere, I want to say it was in college. I want to say I realized psychology wasn't for me. I have a passion for the topic, but I didn't want to be, to be frank, dealing with everyone's problems. So I'm still dealing with problems, but not life altering.
Your problems now.
Just business problems. I need to get this done. I need to get that done. But psychology was great, and I definitely attribute, like I said, some of the things we've done over the years. But I'm happy with where I ended up. So
fantastic. Were many of so you're working for people that were your Amazon sellers, but your network, if you like, how many of your sort of peer group network were becoming Amazon sellers, or was that just something that you were just falling into because you were working for people that were doing that?
Ironically, it was never something people would go into. At least in my circles, it was something that you just found yourself in it. A lot of people started it on the side. Now a lot of my friends are Amazon sellers. That definitely worked out for me. But I want to say when I started it out, nobody was really on Amazon. Thank God I have a great community, and a lot of the people in my community manufacture products, which is great because I don't have to go too far to get business. I partner with manufacturers, or we service manufacturers of products. So it's very easy to find clients when a lot of the people are prime candidates to be sellers on Amazon. A lot of these guys are selling in retail stores. They have a team that handle, big companies, big businesses. They just don't have a team to manage their Amazon business. So we come in, we bring a team, and we partner with the brand, with the client, and we help them grow their business or start their business.
Yeah, fantastic. So you said that you started selling your own products to start off with?
I worked for someone who was doing arbitrage. They dabbled in their own private label once or twice. But the biggest thing was just buying and selling watches. That was I remember Black Friday, Cyber Monday back then. I mean, the numbers we did were ridiculous. I know that Amazon continues to grow, but somehow there was less people selling and more people buying those types of products, I think. And the business is still there. I know people who are still in that exact space.
Yeah.
But back then it was just different. It was a different world, I want to say.
So that then led you down the agency route.
Yes, so I went straight from working for one Amazon seller to working for a consultant agency that was not just one Amazon seller; it was hundreds of sellers. And I kind of always like to differentiate that when you have one Amazon account, that's it requires a skill set, it requires the know-how and the experience. But then when you try to go and consult for multiple Amazon sellers, multiple accounts, they're two very, very different jobs, two very, very different skill sets. Instead of going and focusing all your attention on one account, you kind of have to jump in and jump out with the ability to kind of tackle the most important thing, that needs to get taken care of. Yeah. It's really kind of, it's important to know that, when your data is your best friend, you have, like, I'll just give you an example. When I started out and I had, 15, 20 accounts I was managing, I remember just saying, all right, what happens when I advertise all of them and go very aggressive on advertising? What happens when we stock everything very well? I was doing things like that, like a kid in a candy store, just trying things out. I was lucky enough to have clients that were willing to try it out. And we tried things out. We saw success from a lot of the things we were doing. But when you have one account and you try something and it works or it doesn't work, you don't really have that ability to say, all right, well, I tried this on 15 accounts and 12 of them are doing very well because of this initiative that I just put in place. Yeah. It must be that this is a good plan. It's really like a different mindset, different skill set. It's very different businesses. So even though I was in Amazon, selling on Amazon for a seller, and then I moved over also in Amazon, just consulting, selling on Amazon, consulting for Amazon sellers, it was almost like I had to restart.
Yeah. And that you working with multiple sellers is also managing all those different clients. I love the fact that, as you talk there, is I'm dealing with 15, 20 accounts. We're trying one thing across 15 accounts, let's say, and for 12 of them, it works. The annoying thing is it's worked for 12. Why on earth hasn't it worked for those 3? Like, it's like banging your head against a brick wall sometimes. Those differences.
We always had our theories, I think, with why, or, there's a couple of like, over the years, you just realize there's a few things and everyone knows, you can make your own list and, reorder them, group them together however you want. But everyone has their launch process. Everyone has the things that need to happen in order for, the recipe for success, the things that you need to do to get some form of success. So I always found that you do right by that. You stock yourself with some inventory. You allocate an advertising budget. You invest into the Amazon page and make it look appealing. Graphic design, A+ content. Make a storefront. You do your due diligence, and not everybody and not always right away, but for the most part, I find that you give what you need to succeed, and then you have to be consistent. You have to try, keep trying, keep pushing away at it. And most people will see success. Some people won't. Maybe Amazon's not for them, but we were able to kind of like come up with our own recipe that you need to do these 5, 6 things. And, obviously it's not just a potion. It's not just like something that will work for everyone, but if you have a quality product and, like I said, you have a couple things that are going for you, you should be able to find success. You should be able to build up a business. I might be a little arrogant, but I always say, like, making $1 million business on Amazon, that's not the challenge. Making $1 million a month business on Amazon, like a $12 million annual business on Amazon, that's a little more challenging. Getting to the 6-figure point monthly, you could just, you have inventory, you have an advertising budget, you have a decent sized catalog. You make sure that the listings are appealing, and it's not that hard, especially if you're in the right category. Again, it's not just an answer for everybody. It's not just going to work for everybody, but we find that if you do your due diligence, usually you can see things work.
You can make it pay quite right. So where did Amazon Experts come from?
It's a good question. I guess we were looking for a name, right? We wanted to. We specialize in Amazon. That's it. That's the only thing we do. Yep. No Walmart, no eBay, no Zulily, no Etsy, nothing like that. And we, I guess, to be totally honest, I'm a big fan of the show Billions, and in there they have AX Capital. So AX, Amazon Experts. Maybe there's some similarities there.
Yeah.
Drew some inspiration, but yeah, Amazon Experts. I don't know. My partner, I think, thought of the name. And that was it.
Because your partner, didn't you go to school with each other?
We did not go to school together.
Something like that, though.
We grew up in the same town, literally a block away from each other.
Yep.
So I knew him all my life. My dad and his dad are friends. But yeah, we went to different schools, but that didn't matter. We knew who we were, and it happened to work out, and we started the business. And
how did that happen? How did that partnership come about?
So I was looking to start my own firm. I needed somebody to share in the launch and the responsibilities of it, and I was looking for somebody who could do that. And Jake worked in his dad's company in the Amazon space for a little bit. He had some of the skill set that I was looking for. I was lucky enough to get him to join on board, and that's it. Really, we haven't looked back since. It was very easy. We met once. I think he slept on it, told me he was interested, and then the rest is history, as they say.
Perfect. Oh, how long ago was that?
2.5 years ago.
2.5 years ago. Look at that. And so let's talk about Amazon Experts. So you've got a specific market that you really focus on, haven't you?
Yeah, we're going to go after private label, people who own their own brand or are licensing a brand. They have to have control. They have to be able to, like if we're gonna say that our best shot is by adding some graphics to the listing, and you don't have the control and the ability to upload images, that's going to be a big problem. In my opinion, a lot of what we can do for you is out the window at that point. So it's really simple. We can help anybody that's looking for services. But if we're going to partner with somebody, we usually want them to be able to do everything they can do. If they don't have the ability to make changes on the listing, the odds of us partnering with them are lower. If they don't have a big catalog, the odds of us partnering are lower. If they don't have a lot of inventory, some people don't stock inventory. I could say there's no way we'll partner with somebody who doesn't stock inventory. If somebody says he's not looking to advertise, that's just, again, not for us. All of these guys, we welcome them to buy services, a la carte services. But when it comes to partnerships, we just know that, like, for example, those 4 things I mentioned, we don't want to partner with someone who's not going to give us those things. And it's just because of our experience. We've seen it work with that, without that, and 10 times to 1, we're going to go with having everything you need to succeed, we call it. So you don't have that, you go ahead.
That's really important that people understand that actually, in order to succeed, some of the perception is you listen to a guru on Instagram and all of a sudden that Amazon's your next best friend and it's going to be $1 million operation in 3 weeks. The reality is somewhat different to that, but there are some things that you can do in order to put yourself in a very good position. Inventory and ads, whether that's in the US or launching into Europe, actually, people say to me, what's the best launch strategy? Well, putting some money behind it and making sure you got stock is 2 pretty high things that you can do that helps you to succeed. Like, so do you see, what that, for your clients, that's they're key things that some people don't want to do. They're trying to pull out. They're not sure what to do, where to put the ads. They're looking for organic reach all the time. Paid ads we see in Europe is absolutely critical. And I'm guessing you see exactly the same in the States.
It is critical. It definitely is critical. And so much so, if I meet with somebody, the first thing I'm going to tell them is, I mean, it sounds a little crazy, but I try to scare them off. If I could scare them off with a couple of lines about how Amazon is an investment and, then and they get scared off, then I take that as a sign like they're not really cut out for Amazon. A lot of people think they want to do Amazon, but when they come down to it and realize, oh, okay, I have to spend X amount of money over this time, period, and won't necessarily get what I expect back. You'll always get something back, but maybe it's not what you're expecting. I always find managing expectations is a challenge. Just making sure, like I said on that first phone call, I'm going to try to get the guy as clean of a picture as I can on what this looks like, what building this business will look like. So it's definitely something that I try to get ahead of. I don't like wasting my time. I don't like wasting other people's time. So I'll try to always, give all the reasons why they might not want to continue in the first phone call, just to save my time and their time, just because who has time to waste in today's world, right?
Well, I think that's really important, though, isn't it? That actually you've defined what that looks like, and when people come in and say, "Well, look, here's what we do: A, B, C, D, E." If that doesn't fit you, that's fine. You've got to identify that. Otherwise, what happens is you sort of start saying yes to everything, and you never end up taking steps forward in the area you want to be in.
I think I'm saying no too much. That's how much we say no. We're very, very, we don't just work with anyone. We found that, the more serious that you're going to take a partnership, the more preparations you're going to put into making sure that you're set up for success, the longer term the relationship will be. I've seen time and time again where we were like, okay, we have 5 out of these 6 things we're looking for, and it's that 6th thing that is the that's where we fall short. That's not what we're looking for. We need people who are going to give us everything we need to succeed. I still find myself till today trying to always rationalize and make excuses for the guys that don't have it. Thankfully my partner always he's very very logical with it all, and he says, well, they don't have this, they don't have that. And even till today, like not every partnership we make is set up for success. You have to have everything you need, and if they don't give you, I'll give you an example. I have a list of stuff, right? I went through. What about product information? What happens when the client doesn't give you the step 1, product information? Because I always say, if we're managing a business, we don't have the product dimensions and the features and the call out points for the product. That's something the client has. That's not something that I bring to the table. We bring Amazon expertise to the table. They bring product expertise to the table. That collaboration is what makes it successful. You don't have that, I can't even get to step 1. I'm never going to get to step 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever else we have. So we have to always make sure that there's a point person in the company that we can work with. That's something that, like, if a guy told me, hey, I'll be the point person, but really I have all these other hats, I'd be like, okay, if you're serious about it, I'll do it. Now I'll really, really try to get someone whose their main job is just to be my inside man. And if that's not available, then I'll try to get someone who's at least part-time available for me. But it can't be the CEO or the CFO or anybody that has that responsibilities. He could be involved in the weekly or the monthly calls, but the person who I'm working with, the person who's giving me the information I need, we don't touch inventory. So every time we want to ship goods, we need the client to ship the goods out. Without that inside man, I can't do that. So it's very much, it's not turnkey. I hate it when someone says, so you're a turnkey solution for Amazon? Absolutely not. No turning, no key. There's nothing like that. It's just a collaboration, and we will try our hardest to find the right candidate. And I say this too, and people can maybe just think that I'm, trying to compliment myself, but if we want to work with you, then that doesn't mean you have to work with us, but take that as a compliment. That means you have a very good business that when we audited it and we took it against the checklist of, do they have everything we need to succeed? If I tell you, hey, I want to work with you, that means that we checked off everything on the list. And that means that in our opinion, you have what it takes to succeed on Amazon.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
So that's amazing. So now let's talk about the new project that you've got going on the side. I don't know. Let's talk about the ECom Cooperative. So where did that come from?
Oh, that's a good one. We were all me, myself, my brother, who's involved in Amazon Experts as well. My partner was not there. Jake was not available that night. It was, I believe, Lenny Ash from AZ Seller Kit, Jason Hannon from AZ Seller Kit, and Frank Acosta. We were at dinner, and we were talking about doing something. Because there was no conferences and there was no, there was a few webinars and things going on, but there was no like real, Prosper was canceled. It was just, this was last year. I want to say like November time. It was, we were dining outdoors. That's what we had to do. And that was, It was in New York City. And we were sitting there, and every time I would go to dinner, I would always, I'm a big dinner guy, in case you don't know. And you go to dinner, you break bread with someone, and you enjoy. You make sure not to talk business for the first maybe 80% of the meal, and then when it comes time to dessert, maybe you order an espresso or something, and you talk shop. You just talk. You say, all right, let's talk about how we can make money together. Let's talk about how we can work together. So we were all there, and we talked. We came up with a couple of ideas, and I guess I just had an idea. I'm like, why don't we do a giveaway? We didn't have a fancy name, ECom Cooperative. We didn't even know what a cooperative was at that point. And basically, we just started talking about doing a giveaway, just raffling away a service from Amazon Experts, a service from AZ Seller Kit, and a service from Creative%. In the meeting, Jason and Lenny both mentioned, well, if you guys want to give away a service, I know for a fact that Yoni Mazur from Gatita will give away a service. Yeah. So I think on the way home that night, I called Yoni, or the next day I called Yoni. Yeah. And when Yoni came on board, the idea and the whole thing became into a real actual business, actual plan, and actual, it became real. It went from an idea that may or may have not happened to something that, like, Yoni was like, all right, let's meet every week and talk about it, and let's do this and let's do that. And he was just very in it and serious about it and passionate about it. And little by little, we kept on, like, just inching our way to having something. Like I said, 4 companies at the start of it, $10,000 in value, $2,500 from each company. And that was it. It was really small, really simple. And then I remember I was like, all right, let's try to make it a little bigger maybe. And I called, I want to say the 5th person was Zealand Studios, the photography studio. I worked with them a lot. So, a photo shoot, I figured that would be a great, everyone needs a photo shoot, right? Anybody selling product or apparel that doesn't have it. So I said, you know what, let me ask them. And they were generous enough to up the ante and say, all right, we'll give $3,500 of value, which in the end ended up turning into $5,000 of value. So that was like that. And then Frank was like, all right, well, if they're giving $5,000, I got to give $5,000. And then us ended up matching the $5,000, and it got a little bigger. And then I want to say, I'm not remembering who the 6th person was, but Ryan Kramer was the 7th from Ping Pong Payment. He was the 7th guy up there. It was really, I mean, like, one after the other, we just kept getting more and more value, more and more providers. And it went from $10,000 to $25,000. At $25,000 in value, with however many people we had on board, I was like, all right, we did it. We win. We did this. We were going to draw the winners on March 3rd, 3-3. Ended up being 5-5, Cinco de Mayo. But yeah, we were like trying to figure out, all right, what else do we need to do, and who else can we get involved? And we ended up saying, all right, we invited all the people who we thought made sense. We didn't want to have too much toe stepping. We were at $50,000 in value, and I'm not sure the number of providers. And it was January 4th, and we launched the ECom Cooperative. We pretty much announced it on all of our socials. We all posted the same post, and then that's really when things got interesting. We must have received, I don't know, I want to say between 50 to 100 inquiries about people looking to join.
Because that's when I first saw it. At that point, when you all went live, I saw it on Yoni's, and I was like, Yoni, I want to be involved. Like, this sounds great. Sign me up. And he then put me in touch with you, I think, didn't he?
So yes. So I went from basically running my business, Amazon Experts, to having every day of the week 3, 4, or 5 phone calls with providers looking to join. We were at that point, we were like, okay, we have to get much more selective, and much like we can't just let anybody in this thing. We have to be, so the first thing we were always doing was if the providers in the cooperative, they're dedicated to customer satisfaction. we obsess over customer satisfaction. That was like the biggest thing, because anybody can have a group of providers. We wanted to have a group of providers who were dedicated towards delivering services that were good. That, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of gurus out there who are doing the industry an injustice. And we wanted to have the opposite of that. We wanted to have a group of good people, people who are serious, people who are not just gonna, you go to events. I think somebody was explaining this once. You're gonna have people who are not gonna run away with your money. You go to a conference, people won't run away with your money, but like, in other words, they're legitimate, established companies. But I don't know if they're committed to customer satisfaction as much as we wanted, as much as we were holding the standards we were holding in place. We went through a couple of criteria of things we needed with our partners. We already had great partners, but every single partner that joined, we felt like it made sense, and they aligned with our goals. And we did this last week. We raffled away, I think it was over $130,000 worth of services and solutions.
That's epic, isn't it?
The total number was like 43 providers. I mean, look, to say that this was a mistake, or to say that this was that's like our promotional material says this started by accident, which is not a joke and actually true. But like, from where we started to where we ended, world of a difference. We had to push off till Cinco de Mayo, 2 months later, for the drawing, just because there was so many things that had to happen in order for us to do this that we weren't even aware of. When we hit a certain amount of value in giveaway value, we had to register the giveaway with the state of New York and Florida. We had to take out a surety bond for all the value we were giving away.
So you had a whole load of compliance to do at the same time. Yeah,
we had a lot of we had to do contracts, and I'm saying there was like a lot of stuff that we didn't lawyer fees and all that good stuff. So it was amazing. Like, everything just happened. Everything just kept on moving along. We made it. We did it. We had a successful event. I think like every single one of the providers, besides for one of them who had a last minute emergency, made it to the event virtually or in person, which I was so happy and honored about. Everyone was just like someone mentioned, like a few people mentioned to me, the energy. I specifically remember someone saying your energy, Andy, like when you came on virtually. I just felt like everyone was in like a great mood, and everyone was just like we're all looking to give back free services, and we're all taking time out of our busy days, and we're all extremely happy to do it. That's like a beautiful thing. That's like a really nice, beautiful, just little point to focus on. Like, it's one thing, like, all right, I don't like giving this away to, like, you're in a bad mood, but like, to everyone to give away, you guys gave away over $10,000 worth of value. I mean, this is just like, what is this Amazon industry that we're in? I haven't seen this in my life in any industry. We had a couple of different providers in the advertising space. They were sharing the same screen. It made sense to do that. It made sense to have. There's other people in the ECom Cooperative who do full management, like me. There's the most full management agencies in there. I don't care. There's enough business to go around. Like we said, there's so many people looking for services and not enough providers.
Yeah, that there's definitely that. I totally agree with that. And I think the other side of that is that, coming back to the event itself, no one's been to an event for ages, really, right? But people like being part of a community, don't they? I certainly do. I love being part of something that's a little bit different as well, because we've all been to exhibitions, and let's be honest, we go to them, but it's a little bit, you go to the exhibition on your own, and a few other people there, don't you? Right, so there's a few other people you work with, you talk to, and all the rest of it. But it felt like everyone was in it together. It was like going to a exhibition, but all the exhibitors knew each other and wanted everyone to succeed that was coming through, right? And that's how the whole thing is about seeing sellers successfully expand. And when you've got a whole load of partners that all want the same thing from their clients, because as you said, they've been through a vetting procedure where, are these guys passionate about people's success? Are they customer centric? Are they all those other things? you're working for all these other people. And you're like, this is wicked because everyone's on the same wavelength, and you just don't get that. And I think that's absolutely crucial, and I think, obviously people do all these things for different reasons, but I think for me, this was just different. It's just great to be part of a community, something. The biggest thing I get jealous about is you'll go for your meal in New York City every week, and I'm like, guys, I want to come.
Well, Andy, we definitely our dinner is long overdue. So when hopefully you can come to New York, I think we're both going to be at Prosper. Is that something that's going to happen?
I don't think we're going to get to Prosper. I don't think we're going to be able to come.
Really? Okay.
I don't think it's because it's July, isn't it?
It's July.
Yeah, I just don't think we're going to be able. I've got
All right, I'm gonna hold out hope. I'm gonna hold out hope.
We'll see. I don't think Prosper's going to happen. I think we've got a few backed up at the end of the year, but okay. I mean, who knows? I mean, like,
listen, I'm officially committing to going to every event I could go to. Going back to 2-3 weeks ago when Yoni called, we were on one of our weekly calls, and he's like, guys, I'm going to Miami next week. Who wants to come? I'm like, sign me up. And I was just even that trip alone, business came from it. Ironically, I think this is pretty crazy. I have never been to an event ever. And this is pretty nuts because I've been to events that were not like so well promoted. And
yep.
I remember I once went to an event with like 15 people. And I walked in and I'm like, oh, I was like cringing, and I was like, I want to turn around. And I knew one person there, a provider. He was talking to somebody in the corner. I'm literally turning around to leave, and he says, David, calls me over. I come to the conversation they're having. They're huddling around,
yeah.
And he's like, this guy needs Amazon services. I started talking to the guy. Signed 2 accounts from him. He signed up 2 different accounts with me.
Yeah, wow.
And that was like the worst event I've ever been to. I left early. I was not impressed with the venue, and it wasn't the greatest.
Yeah.
I spent the money to get there, and I was like thinking it was a waste. That night I was like, what a waste. I got 1 lead, but what a waste. And in hindsight, that was not a waste. I got a very good client out of that. So I'm going to say a pretty strong statement that I have never been to an event ever that I have not benefited more than I spent on it.
Oh, totally.
So I'm like, I mean, already I was a big fan of events, big fan of just going anywhere. But I think that like I'm committing to doing anything if it has to do with Amazon. I will try to be there.
Well, I believe that everything comes from a conversation. So, those conversations, as long as you're having those conversations, actually, we went to one event where actually we didn't get any clients from it. We met a couple of partners. And actually from the partners, we've got more from those partners than we ever did from that exhibition.
Collaborations are the best. Collaborations are just by far the best, because especially when you get a good guy. By the way, that's a side effect of the ECom Cooperative.
Yeah.
I know that some of the cooperative guys like reached out to you, and I know that even our podcast, by the way, I know you have a call with somebody who watched the podcast. I mean, like that's always great, right? You go out there, you do a podcast, you don't know what's going to come from it.
No.
You get a lead from it. That's the best.
Exactly.
But for the most part, it's just like you have all these providers, right? You have all these people involved in the ECom Cooperative, and now as a side effect, we have providers working with other providers. Oh, you must be dedicated to customer satisfaction as well. You must be a good provider. So that means already one check on the list, right? Everybody has things they're looking for when it comes to people they want to work with.
Yeah.
So already we have all this in common. Already we have in common that we gave away some services. We have in common that we're devoted to customer satisfaction. And that's just like something that we didn't even plan. I mean, the whole ECom Cooperative wasn't planned, but that's just something that we didn't even realize was going to be a side effect of what we're doing. And that's happening.
So where do you, over the next 6 months, how do you see Amazon shaping over leading into Q4 this year? What sort of things do you see sort of taking shape, changing as we go into that. Because we're fully now into Q4 prep, aren't we? Like that whole period and leading now.
I do think I don't really love to put my predictions out there so much. I'm gonna switch that into what I hope for. I know that last year a lot of people struggled with inventory, specifically with the IPI rules. I'm hoping that the facilities, the warehouses, they hired more workers and they're expanding their facilities. I do hope that there's no issues, like they don't have to lower the IPI standard. Raise it. I hope that.
On that, David, on that, with the IPI score, what we're seeing in Europe actually is the IPI score just gets lower and lower every year, and they bring it in sooner. Like, they're just bringing it in sooner. Like last year, it started in October. Maybe September when they started bringing the 400 IPI score in, as well as the year before it was 450 and didn't start till November. It came in earlier.
I hope we get like holiday season. They said is always going to be lower, and non-holiday is going to be higher. I hope that I don't know if this is just like wishful thinking, but I hope we don't have to lower too much or at all. I hope that people don't the last thing you want to do is. I gave everything I needed for Amazon, and Amazon didn't let me succeed because I couldn't ship inventory. That's just like the worst. It's one thing if you didn't ship the inventory. It's one thing if you didn't spend the advertising budget. If it's in your hands. But if you're being limited for how much inventory you can send, ultimately that means you have to ship more often and push the sales harder during non-holiday. Right now, you have to be pushing. You have to be taking advantage of Prime Day and everything every advantage you could take. You need to take advantage of.
What sort of with that based in in the States, in Europe we say, look, the best way of getting around that is making sure you've got a 3PL that's got seller fulfilled Prime status that you can utilize, right? So you could get that recognized. So we have UK and Europe, people can use seller fulfilled Prime from our warehouses. In the States, are you recommending the same thing, or are you recommending just make sure your IPI score is as high as you can possibly get it based on then, your sales velocity and everything else to make sure that works?
So during the COVID, I want to say it was a 2 or a 3 month no shipping.
Yeah.
All of my, well, not all, but a lot of my clients, thankfully, we tend to ship a little bit aggressive sometimes, especially when there's sales. We go a little more. It's like something I like to say. We don't ship for what you deserve. We ship for what you want to deserve.
Yeah.
So basically, when we had that no shipping, we were good for most of it because we were stocked well for anything that was selling. So that no shipping for a couple months didn't hurt us as much as it hurt other people. But while we were doing that, we were looking at our inventory levels get lower and lower and lower. So I would say that every single one of my clients moved over to a hybrid model of FBM and FBA. In my opinion, before Corona, I would have said FBA is the way to go. Don't waste your time with FBM. Yeah. Today, and because of COVID, I would say it's a hybrid necessity to do hybrid FBA and FBM. Still, I always want to have FBM as a backup. My best case scenario is when we have a certain amount of units in FBM and we don't sell it, we don't use it. It's just there collecting dust. I know that sounds crazy, but if we can manage to keep our FBA replenished and healthy, we never have to use FBM. And I guess the reason is because to come across a prime fulfilled warehouse is harder than I think the UK and the US. So you're not gonna. It's gonna be very hard to find someone who can get Prime for you FBM or FBA on site or whatever you're lucky enough to get if you do have that. But as far as like just taking advantage of the season, you just have to always make sure to be to be on top of your inventory, be on top of your sales. Like I said, replenish for what you deserve, replenish for what you want to deserve, not for what you actually made in sales. And if you do that, and if you take advantage of everything you can, obviously the goal is to not have any limits and to be able to ship as much as you can. So just to answer your question, I hope that obviously Q1 of 2021 broke records. I hope that the rest of 2021 is on par as it continues with that trend. I hope that nobody's limited by inventory from Amazon. Again, if it's one thing if you limit your own inventory, or if you run out of stock that you purchased. But if you're gonna have a ton of stock and you could have sold, but Amazon just didn't let you, that's a real shame. And I found that anybody who came across that, that's like a business killer. That could really put you out of business. So I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that the growth that Amazon did on their fulfillment end is sufficient, and I hope that we don't suffer too much on those metrics and on what we need to do in order to be able to ship. Because what will happen if that's the issue is the guys who are selling will just, because it's designed for the guys who are stocked and selling and doing well. So the rich will get richer, and then the people who are struggling some of them might lose their business. It's not a pretty sight, and we don't want that. We want the middle guys to do well. We want the guys who could, usually the holiday season can make a business as well. It can make a business, it can break a business, but I'd like to see more businesses be made during that big rush and surge of traffic and opportunity.
Yes, and for those people who don't know Amazon particularly well, they can't necessarily get their head around it until they get involved in it. They just can't see the like what you said earlier. Oh well, there's enough business to sort of go around. There's plenty. But someone who's not in Amazon would be like, what? There is. There's just. I think there's. I saw something the other day. It's 2,000 new sellers a day or something. Just.
I forget about that. In the event, someone was saying how many sellers signed up. 2,000 a day is crazy, and if you do the math, you'll get at the number that they announced. But the number that they said, I want to say it was a couple 100,000 sellers signed up since 2020. I don't know.
It's crazy. It's crazy. You just can't get your head around it.
And then let's just say it how it is. Those gurus, right? The guys who have the crystal balls, they're helping us because there's so many people who are not good. And I like to try to, on that first phone call with a potential client, I'll try to explain to them that I'm not one of those gurus. I'm going to be the guy that's going to tell you the things that you're not used to hearing on call one. I'll say my fees and my prices within the first 2 minutes. I really go against what most people do, in the industry. And I just if there's a reason that we're not going to work together, I want to find that out as close to minute one as possible, which, believe it or not, doesn't always work out, but it works out enough for us that I'm going to continue to do that.
I think that's really important though, because that set the scene. Look, in order to do this, it's going to cost broadly in this region. If you're fine with that, let's carry on talking. If not, there's no point wasting either of our time, because you can try and sell it. They can try and pretend they can afford it, or that's a great way of going. In order to do this, this is going to be the cost.
Yeah.
It's fact. Okay, wicked. Right, we are coming to an end. Now, David, first of all, thank you very much for your time. But most importantly, if people want to get in contact with you, you want to talk about Amazon, they want to talk about the ECom Cooperative, you want to talk about Amazon Experts.
Go to Portal Apps and download it from there.
I have no idea what that is talking over there. In fact, that's the Facebook Portal app that goes on top of my TV. Jesus, everything talks to you now, doesn't it? Anyway, so David, I apologize. So if people want to talk about get involved in your account management for Amazon Experts, if they want to get involved in the ECom Co-op, then what do they need to do to get in touch with you?
Very simple. You can go to the website, amazonexperts.com. Amazon Experts is spelled with no E before the X. You can fill out a questionnaire. You can also email us at info@AmazonExperts. And then if you're looking for, either if you're a provider looking to get involved in the ECom Cooperative, or if you're just looking for help with your Amazon business, because Andy, I don't know if you know this, but one of the tools we rolled out in the ECom Cooperative is help at the ECom Cooperative, where Amazon sellers can just reach out and ask questions. Who can help me with expanding to the UK? And then we would put them in touch with you, for example. But basically, it's a place where Amazon sellers can turn to seek advice, help, just talk to somebody, an industry professional. So you can reach out to help@the Cooperative if you're either a provider or an Amazon seller, and somebody will get back to you. So yeah, that's pretty much what we got.
That's fantastic. Well, look, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I know your time is hugely valuable, and it's been great speaking to you once again. So this is becoming a bit of a common theme now. So I'm looking forward to getting to New York and going for a proper meal. I can't wait for that. I mean, I'm like, right.
Thank you for having me, Andy. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for your time. Stay safe. Look after yourself. This was David. This is Andy from the e-commerce Expanded Secrets podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you very much.